cropping up and developments every few minutes, really, isn't there, over this sale of the French engineering firm Alstom?
Yeah, fast changing now story today. The company has now officially confirmed that it has received an offer from General Electric for its thermal, renewables and grid energy businesses for the price of 12.35 billion euros. This is the biggest part of Alstom's business. It accounts for some 70% of its revenue. If the deal goes through, Alstom says it will then focus on its transport activities, the other big part of its business. It's described the offer from GE as practically perfect. A board meeting last night backed the bid for the energy unit, but it's not a done deal yet. An independent committee will now examine the offer. The company says it'll have a decision out by the end of May.
And of course there is another bidder, potential bidder, isn't there? Siemens. What does it leave them?
Yeah, this is where things get a little bit more complicated, if you like. Alstom's talks with General Electric aren't exclusive, but under the terms of the agreement, the outline agreement at least it has with GE, it cannot go looking for other offers. However, if someone, Siemens for example, should come up with another offer, the company may then consider that offer as well. But it would have to pay General Electric 1.5% of the purchase price that another company would offer if it takes their offer over there. So there's some privileging of that agreement going on. Now, Alstom has agreed to share, in the meantime, its accounting detail, the non-public data to do with the company with Siemens, because Siemens asked for 4 weeks to consider that information before putting a formal offer on the table. But in the meantime, it has put an improved proposition in response to what General Electric had offered. Originally, Siemens said that it would do a sort of a swap, so it would take over Alstom's energy business. In exchange, it would give it part of its railway business. It's now up to that part that it's going to give away. It's proposing now it'll also give its metro building business, particularly profitable part of Siemens, just proving that they are still interested and very much still in the game, but no decision just yet.
Okay, perfectly explained, as ever, by Stephen. It's such a big company, isn't it? Of course, the French government very interested in it as well.
Yes, and keen to have their say as well. For the French government, of course, Alstom is a strategic company. That means that it gets to sign off on any sale of its assets. The main figure involved, you can see him there, Arnaud Montebourg, the economy minister, very angry with Alstom's CEO for not telling the government about these General Electric discussions before they happened. Now, GE has promised President Hollande that if it wins the bid and buys that business from Alstom, it will create jobs in France and also move the headquarters of its energy operation, or its European headquarters at least, to France. Prime Minister Manuel Valls has been weighing in on French radio this morning. Let's listen to what he had to say.
The sudden speeding up in the last few days is unacceptable, and President Hollande and the Minister for the Economy, Arnaud Montebourg, has said so to the parties involved. They have heard us. That to me is the essential thing. Our priority is employment, investment in our country, and our energy independence, which we must preserve.
Well, no, Alstom shares had been suspended on Thursday when news of this offer came out. First, let's look at how they've gone back to trading today. They opened up over 11% here in Paris. It's fallen back slightly now since then, I can tell you. Siemens, however, in Germany, their investors not so pleased with these negotiations. Their shares trading in the red today in Frankfurt, down about 0.5%. Let's take a look now at how things are trading in Europe more generally. A generally negative start across the European markets. Just one other share price I've picked out for this morning, the Anglo-Dutch company Shell, their shares in London up over 3% after their results. Quick look too at Asia before we leave the markets. Tokyo back in business after its day off, closing up in positive territory. The Hang Seng in Hong Kong, the biggest faller in the Asian markets today.
Bit more companies news next. We're going to start with the French bank BNP Paribas.
Yeah, the company says it's close to settling a case with the US authorities over violating sanctions in Iran that could cost it more than $1.1 billion. The lender's in talks with regulators over transactions that took place between 2002 and 2009. That news comes as the bank reported a 5% rise in net profit to almost 1.7 billion euros in the first 3 months of the year. The airline group Air France KLM says it's reduced its losses in the first quarter thanks to cost cutting and a fall in the price of petrol. Losses at Europe's second largest airline fell to 445 million euros over those 3 months. The company also unveiled a new maintenance contract in China worth more than €1 billion. There could be trouble ahead for Air France as the country's biggest pilots union on Tuesday announced it would start a series of strikes in May. And profits at the French oil company Total have fallen by 10% in the first 3 months of this year. The company earned $3.3 billion over the period, mainly due to falling margins at its European refining operations. For the first time, Total published its results in US dollars, despite having its headquarters here in Paris.
Next then to Twitter, the results. Disappointing investors, aren't they?
Yeah, these are the figures for the first 3 months of the year as well. All the main results coming out at the moment we're hearing from companies. The headline figure, a loss of $132 million. Which isn't actually the worst part of these results, believe it or not. The company says that's down to special capital expenditure, including hiring 300 staff. We were speculating earlier about how much those 300 people are earning that they've managed to increase
the
losses. Yeah, the revenue figures, though, much more healthy, more than doubled to $250 million. But it's that third figure, monthly users, that's really important here, only rising by 6% over these 3 months. Compare that to Facebook. They have 1.3 billion users. Investors took fright at that. Shares in the company fell 11% in after-hours trading, bringing the stock price down to its lowest since it started on the stock exchange last November. In fact, now the company CEO says that's just stock market jitters. Investors feeling nervous about it. But should at least save 300 well-paid staff members to help them in the future.
Exactly. We're supporting them, perhaps not financially, but we're both on Twitter, aren't we?
Of course.
So, you know, if you ever use Twitter, have a look for Stephen and for me. You'll find us there. Flo's on there as well, but you don't tweet very much, do you, Flo? We keep trying to force her, but she's not grabbing the bull by the horns, only. Let's have a look at what's happening in the headlines around the world. First, I have a lot of focus on those elections in Iraq, isn't
That's right. Gulf News in its editorial says that stability is really